few weeks ago, I said I will post a video on how to deal with stress. So there is a notion that you can somehow manage stress, but when stress is managing you, how can you manage someone who's managing you, right? So stress is your manager, is your boss, and if you're experiencing stress. So Sri Mahavishnu has explained in Garuda Purana in a conversation with Garuda, his vehicle, and so on. There are a lot of questions that Garuda asked Vishnu about aspects of soul, birth and death, and a lot of different things. And Garuda Purana is known for providing answers for a lot of those things, right? One of the aspects that caught my attention when I listened to the discourse given by Samaveda Shanmukha Sharma, he exposed a lot of the details of the Garuda Purana. He discussed in great detail. One of the things that caught my attention, obviously I have not read it, but I tend to somehow listen to things that really pertain to what is needed for my interest, and also for something that I can tell my friends about. Obviously, a lot of people don't have the time to sit through hours and hours of lectures and listen to them and grasp the details. But coming to the point of how to deal with stress, Vishnu explains it in various parts. One is there is negative energy that surrounds you based on your past life experiences, as well as the family you were born into. There is terminologies like Uchatan and enmity between siblings, enmity with parents. All of these things cause stress because of the negative energy that surrounds the family. And the origins of that are discussed in great detail as to the departed souls in the family that have not properly received the rituals that are performed after someone passes. So all of these things are explained in great detail by Vishnu. And coming to the other aspects where obviously that also affects your marriage, chances of marriage, chances of having children, and also career opportunities, wealth, health, and happiness. So that is the primary root of that. He also explains when someone has children whose brain is not developed, autistic, children born with mental impairment, lack of interest in doing anything, lethargic. All of these things are because of the of not doing proper rituals for departed forefathers, and it is generally known as Pitru Dosha. Okay, Pitru Dosh in Hindi, Sanskrit rather. So the remedies that are given so people can look. There's Pitru Gayatri jap and rituals that need to be done. People going to Gaya in Bihar and submitting, for all the forefathers in their name, doing the ritual there. So a lot of those things are supposed to alleviate any of this negative energy. The second thing that one can do to handle stress is if you maintain purity by showering at least twice a day, preferably in lukewarm to cold water, depending on how the weather in your area. Okay, I tend to take cold showers in the morning. Even at 3 o'clock in the morning, I tend to wake up, take my shower, and do my Sanjavana. And if I feel like going back to bed, I do that, right? So you can do that. You don't have to stay up, after that. Preferably, if you have nothing to do, if everyone else is sleeping, it's dark outside, what are you going to do? Sit around, watch TV, start working? No. So you can go back to bed and you can probably peacefully catch a few more hours of sleep. But the fact that you have already performed your ritual, it could be, and speaking about rituals, there are different variations of rituals that people are supposed to do. For example, if you are someone who doesn't have a family, or a brahmachari, or single guy, you don't have to do hours and hours of idol worship and this and that, and you're not supposed to. It's a karma duty are more essential than doing any of the other rituals. But sticking to the point and the topic, this is supposed to set your mind, tune it, and because this ritual essentially comprises doing pranayama for 11 times. Pranayama is required to be done each time you do Sandhyavandan. And as you practice it, the whole process of Sandhyavandan will not take more than 15 minutes. So you could wake up, do some stretching exercise, and then take your shower, drink a lot of water, if you have to, and before you shower, whatever. So that actually calms down the body. It essentially provides the body with the required amount of water to sustain you probably throughout the morning till afternoon. So that is what I have observed. And the other aspect of dealing with stress is you basically the breath is the control of everything. It controls your digestion, erectile dysfunction, everything. I see a lot of my friends who are experiencing it, and I actually told them that you don't have to even sit and do pranayama the way you do when you do Sandhyavandan. You can also practice various forms of breathing. For example, various watches like the Apple Watch also has a breath exercise app that you can use to do your exercise. And if you do even 10 times, you will see amazing benefits. You actually live a great new life. You feel happy. You're always in on a high. About life, for life. And a lot of people think of wealth and something else gives you happiness. I don't think so, because I enjoyed everything. The third thing I would actually encourage is, I did talk about dating and drinking alcohol in the form of cocktails or beer or whatever. And yes, it's not recommended that one actually sit at a bar by themselves and start drinking, which typically takes place in a lot of countries like India. And also there's no control. People overindulge in countries like India, and probably in the US a lot too. But if you go to a bar, and I'm addressing this because a lot of the younger population, and I speak in English because a lot of the people that are experiencing stress tend to be in the Western societies, because there are two reasons for it. One is that the tolerance for anything unacceptable is low in the Western society. If someone yells at someone, they get upset. Whereas in India, it is expected, so you tend to take it easy, as the terminology is used. You just don't care about it. You accept it as the norm. The sound, the honking, and yelling, shouting all around you, it upsets a lot of people from Western societies. That is typically a cultural shock. For Indians who came, for example, like me in the 90s, I didn't really experience any cultural shock, but the shock that a lot of people experience is the isolation. Like, the people typically don't ask you anything personal. They don't get involved in your life. And if you want to talk about your life, they don't want to hear about it. So those are the kind of things. So these are contradictory cultural variations that we experience within Eastern societies and Western societies. And probably it is best not to convert them into your culture of listening and all that, because there is a lot you can learn from other cultures, which is, how do you just stick to what you need to do so that you can fulfill your duty, which is karma. So how do you tend to it without really getting distracted by the various things like we typically take care of in India? So we may take pride in the fact that, I'm taking care of this, taking care of that, but you're actually overstretching yourself, exhausting yourself. When you had a joint family system way back, I believe I never experienced it, but those who lived in it, they essentially split workload amongst themselves, and everyone efficiently worked. They may have had differences, but someone addressed it. There are things that people enjoyed and experienced, within it. But then there's also lack of privacy. A husband and wife that are newly married, I don't know how they dealt with, living amongst the entire family and kids running around and whatever without any privacy. And that is also something that the Western society people are not used to. They want privacy. They want a time for themselves, as a couple, as a single person, or whatever. So these are the things that various cultures deal differently. And in India, for example, the last time I posted the video on stress management or dealing with stress, a lot of people were not interested, probably. It seemed like, because I didn't see any comments or interest in seeing the video. And so the main reason for stress is the cultural aspect is one of the reasons for stress. So you can't change things around you. You cannot change your work culture. You cannot change anything. So acceptance of what is the norm that is around you is one aspect, and you can address it. You can address it the way I tend to do with some of the things. I don't get stressed out. I actually enjoy and indulging in that. And although I regret having to participate in it, some of the discussions that I put videos on, but one thing that I do enjoy is that it actually clears my thought process. It basically aligns all of the various thoughts that are coming up, in my mind, and aligns them all together so that I am truthful to myself and to what I have been given to not believe in, but what have been shown that this is basically the way it should be. Right or wrong are two different things that probably change with time. So I'm very careful about, I'm very choosy about the words I choose, because a lot of the words that this is the right way, that is the wrong way, they don't know. Every time a place has a different way of living. In cold weather situations, you wear overalls. But if you're living in a warm country, warm climate, you walk around and probably that's more comfortable. So similarly, you cannot apply the same scenario in every situation and say this is the right way to live. So you cannot change your family situation. You may not be able to change your work situation. Some people keep running away, blaming everyone else. So a lot of these things can be handled by beginning with one thing and one thing only, which is to 3 times a day practice breath. Breathe the right way for at least 20 times, 3 times a day, and you will see amazing benefits, and it enriches your life and it gives you physical benefits. And as I mentioned, a lot of the modern day people are unable to cope with what is known as erectile dysfunction, which is, I keep talking about it because it's probably something that people will benefit from. And you will actually see not only that aspect of life, but also, generally speaking, if you have a digestion issue where you're getting a severe acid. For example, a lot of people with sleep apnea, because when you're sleeping, your breathing is not regular, so that causes a severe acid. And this breath exercise during the day will relax your entire body so much that acid reflux also is something that can be contained and controlled. So let's begin with breath. You can probably watch a lot of videos, but there are 2 types of breathing also. I'll leave this with as the last parting advice is there is one way of breathing which increases blood pressure, which increases stress. There is a different way of breathing which actually decreases stress and makes you a happier individual. So keep that in mind when you actually breathe, and breathe right.